A highway can be 6 lanes wide and still take an hour to cross if there's a stop sign every block. On the internet, that's the difference between two numbers people lump together as speed. The first number is latency, how long one round trip takes. The second is bandwidth, how much data can move at once. They're independent. A connection can be wide and slow or narrow and instant. Online games live and die by the first number. Big downloads live and die by the second. And a cousin of latency, jitter, decides whether a video call sounds smooth or choppy. Slow motion, 2 numbers, 2 completely different jobs. Slow motion, take 1. Latency is a stopwatch measurement. Send one small packet, time how long it takes to get a reply back. That round trip in milliseconds is your latency. It's dominated by distance and the speed of light. A request to a server across the ocean has a physical floor it cannot beat, no matter how fast your Wi-Fi is. Bandwidth is a completely different measurement, not how fast one packet arrives, but how many bits per second can flow through the pipe at all. Picture 2 garden hoses of different widths, both 100 meters long. Water takes the same time to reach the end of either one. That travel time is latency. How much water arrives per second is bandwidth. Now watch why games care about the first number. Every move you make needs a round trip to the game server and back before you see the result. That round trip is the latency measurement. 100 milliseconds of latency means your shot, your jump, your move shows up a tenth of a second late, often the entire difference between winning and losing. More bandwidth does nothing for this. A gigabit connection with bad latency is still a laggy connection. Downloads flip the priority entirely. A movie file doesn't care if the first byte arrives in 10 milliseconds or 200. It cares how many megabytes per second keep flowing after that. That's why satellite internet is a famous paradox. Enormous bandwidth, genuinely fast downloads, and yet noticeably laggy in a video call. The signal has to travel 35,000 kilometers up to the satellite and back. Jitter adds a third wrinkle. It's not the delay itself, but how much that delay varies packet to packet, which is what actually makes voice and video calls stutter unevenly. The best possible connection is low latency, low jitter, and high bandwidth, but engineering trade-offs mean chasing one rarely improves the other two for free. The fine print, latency, is what the ping tool measures, literally sending an ICMP echo and timing the reply in milliseconds, nothing more complicated than that. Bandwidth is what a speed test measures, pushing as much data as possible for a few seconds and counting megabits per second, a completely different kind of test. Advertised bandwidth is also a ceiling, not a guarantee. Up to 500 Mbps describes the best case. Real throughput is usually lower once congestion, Wi-Fi interference, and overhead take their share. Latency, meanwhile, has a hard physical floor. Light in fiber travels at about 2/3 the speed of light in a vacuum, giving roughly 5 milliseconds of unavoidable delay per 1,000 kilometers, each way. This is exactly why CDNs, content delivery networks, exist. Cache the data physically closer to you, and you shrink latency in a way no amount of extra bandwidth ever could. And it's why video calls prioritize LOW jitter over raw resolution. A slightly blurrier call that arrives evenly beats a sharp one that stutters. How long and how much, 2 independent numbers measured 2 different ways, optimized for 2 different jobs. Speed was always hiding 2 questions at once. Thanks for watching. Next time an app feels laggy despite fast internet, you'll know exactly which number to blame. Follow how it all runs for more. See you in the next one.